Is it working?
Yeah.
Yes, perfect.
That's so
Brilliant.
cool.
Yes,
Mhm.
perfect.
Wow.
So cool, so cool.
This is so cool.
Yeah, perfect. perfect.
好老道.
My no, it's really good. It's really good.
Kidding. Although I don't know how to use it. I bought it
it.
from my friend.
So cool.
Okay. So when I was preparing about my testimony, and I think about my whole life, and then I just saw so many footprints from God in my life, draw me to Him. God write the story of our lives. Each one is unique,
Amen.
right? And then it may take one a lifetime to know Him, to understand Him, and then to understand His grace and love. And looking back at mine, it wasn't an easy or a smooth month, but I'm really grateful for what God has done in my life now, that I know that what I get now is worth everything in my life. That I will commit my life to Him, and that through this I will glorify Him. So the story begins. So my parents, they were born in Indonesia, and that because they love China, so they went back to China, and without knowing the reality, what happened back then. So when they were back to China and mainland China, they has the nightmare started, and then they went through Cultural Revolution, and then they didn't even have the food, like to be sure about next meal, and then they had to do hard labor. They didn't have any education, and they were just living in this environment where there's only betrayal and lies, and there's no justice at all. So they had to really just be on guard and fight for themselves, and they couldn't even trust the teacher or classmates or anyone else around them. So there's no grace in their life, and love was a foreign language to them. So because of that background, they could finally come to Hong Kong when they were like before 20s. So in Hong Kong, they began their life of somewhat. They could finally work for themselves and get the hello. So that's the background of my parents. So I was born to this family, and because I couldn't say it's completely because of the background or whatever, but my parents didn't really get along. So they quarreled a lot, they fought a lot at home, and I just can remember one time that we all go out like as a happy family. I don't really have that memory ever. So I was very quiet and
You're
very.
the only child?
I was the only child. Yeah. So I was very quiet and timid, and that I was quite afraid of like being abandoned, and that my parents would say to me like, you had to really work hard at school, because they didn't have the chance. They think that their hope was completely on me, that I will be their salvation in that sense. So is that if you study hard, then we'll love you. So it's that kind of conditional love, right? So of course I listened to them, and then I worked really hard so that I would feel loved and feel secured, and that as a child I needed that a lot. And because of that personality formed, I was not able to really make friends at school. I felt that I was quite different to them, that they would be very happy and then play around and then talk about home and stuff like that. But it seems that I didn't have that sort of thing to talk about with them. So it sort of made me quite lonely at school. And I still remember when they were fighting at home, and then in order to stop me from listening, I would go to my own room and then listen to the only one tape I had, which is the Christmas Carol And that, and for many years after, whenever I hear Christmas songs, that only would brought me these bad memories that I didn't like Christmas at all for many years after. So going into secondary school, the situation didn't really get better, and they finally got divorced. And then I became even more lonely, and I was even shameful about my background because none of my friends had that similar family. So I just didn't want to really open up or to really talk to them or to have any sort of deep conversation because I don't want them to find out. And that's hi.
Get the camera.
Oh.
Okay. So in secondary school, my parents got divorced. So I was unable to form any close friendship with my friends at school. And however, the craving for love was like so strong in me because that's what I lack. So I had to really find that love and sense of existence from the relationship with others. However, I couldn't be close to them. What I could do is to really like being kind and helpful and just try all my best to really please them, right? And in order that they would accept me, they would love me the way I want them to, but it didn't really actually work out, and that and also because of my expectations, so I became very, very disappointed and also very cynical. And so life went on. I was just very lost, and I didn't have any hope about the future, even though I was still quite young, maybe 15 or 16 years old, where I should be having fun, making friends, you know, developing myself, my personality and all that. But I was pretty hopeless and quite depressed. So I grew up much faster than my peers, so I couldn't talk to them. I could only go to the books, like the philosophy books, but that didn't give me any answer, but only just made me more lost and confused about the future. I didn't see the purpose of life, and I didn't see why I had to, you know, live just to be so upset until the end I died. Like I don't know what's the point. And then so I went to the teachers, those I was really close to, and I asked them why. And then to my surprise, I thought they knew everything, but they couldn't really give me an answer. So I focused on my study as usual. So luckily I did quite well in school, and that sort of shifted my attention, like not thinking about too much about those things, but to really focus on study. So since I couldn't get the comfort or the love I crave from my friends, so I thought, oh, maybe the deeper kind of love could be sought from relationship. So I started dating people, but then of course it wouldn't work because I couldn't be vulnerable. I couldn't build intimate relationship with people, and then for the insecurity inside me, I would like pretend that like I don't care. Like I just want to have like I can't say fun, but I can't risk like putting my love forward, and that so none of the relationship worked out. And in order that to find more purpose in life, and that I know that my life shouldn't be just about myself, I was pretty into politics as well in that period of time. It was about like secondary school and university. So I went on like protests and like the June 4th, and then umbrella thing and all that stuff. Even since I was child, actually my dad had been taking me to those events like every year. So it's very much in my heart that I need to care for like injustice in the society, and that sort of give me some sense of purpose. But the more I like know about politics and politicians and just what's happening around the world, and then it just made me more cynical. Like I thought that people should have some virtue, some good thing inside them. Like, or else, what's the point, right? We are all living in this world, and then we are going to die if we are just here to harm others for our own benefits. Then, what's the point? So, it didn't really sustain much longer for me to as a purpose to keep me going. However, I found some sort of comfort when I was in the nature, and say I really like hiking, and in that environment I could just really feel that comfort. I don't know where it came from, but maybe it's just without any ugly human selfish things inside it. So I really like the nature, like going in the mountains or to this ocean, or even seeing animals. And to a point where even when I look at my own body, like how this whole thing work, I didn't, it doesn't belong to me. That's how I felt. Because I couldn't have created it myself. I appreciate it a lot. And I still remember about 2 or 3 years ago, I went to New Zealand, and if you've been, you must know like how beautiful the place is, right? And I remember there was one turn, I was in a car, and it wasn't actually a destination we were meant to go, but then just this one turn, and then I saw this vast range of snow mountain, and I just like look at it, and then I just couldn't help, like I just cry, because it's like it's this small voice telling me I'm here, don't worry. Like I'm so big and then you're so small, why do you have to worry? And at that time I just feel the connection to the nature. So I guess this God starting to call me. So after going into the work, and then I started dating, and then a few years after I had a breakup with a boyfriend. So I was devastated at that moment, and however I went through it. I got over it, partly because I had a really good friend who's actually my best friend, and she's a Christian, and at the same time she's also going through a very hurtful breakup at the same time. So we hung out quite a lot, and then she didn't actually mention Christianity to me, but we just kept each other company, and then I sort of got over it. And then I was like, man, it's my life, why I had to depend on others to like give me meaning, to give me the happiness. I am like the master, it should be in my own hands. So my mentality has shifted completely into one that I need to find a lot of excitement, and then so that this short life might be a little bit more significant, that I need to try everything. So of course they're like partying, and then going to many exotic places and hiking and everything, meet different people from different background. I was quite happy for I remember I even went to Thailand for a month just to party. That's actually because I was working in a fun house before then, and then it closed down by like accident. So I just took a month off and went to Thailand. Just party a whole month. I was like, I felt like, happiness was the purpose of my life, and I'm doing it. But soon after, when these things are over, and then you had to search again to look for the next excitement in order to sustain myself. So even though I look like I love all the fun thing happening, and then I love all these people. They have different background, and I appreciate them. But there's still this big void inside me that seems nothing else can fill. So, so C.S. Lewis says, if we find ourselves with a desire that nothing in this world can satisfy, the most probable explanation is that we were made for another world. But I didn't know about it back then. So until 3 years ago, I met a godly man. He invited me to Alpha, and at Alpha, I started to feel that, oh, these people seem to be quite different to the normal people I met over all my life. And then they were not just kind, but they're genuinely kind. And what's more different is that they're vulnerable. And then there are
Pain from here.
Sure. Yeah. And that's not something I saw from other people, that they're quite authentic. They don't pretend that they're fine, they're well, but they tell you what they're struggling with. And at the same time, they have this very heart to really serve people that quite aligned with what I have always believed in about life is not just about my own. I need to make more impact and to give benefit other people. So at that point I was I sort of feel connected with people again. And also I found out that actually we have life other than this. We have eternity. And then that seems to make a lot more sense to me, because as I've always been searching about why do I have to live this life just to suffer? And actually there's another life. So I just accepted Christ at Alpha. And I was very happy about it. And then I just keep going to church. And that happened about 3 years ago. And I was plugged in quite quickly, because after I accepted Christ, I started dating this guy. And then I joined a cat group. I went to dragon boating, and then